Hello there and welcome to a new project of mine. In this video I would like to show you my custom crafting API for Minecraft. This is obviously realized through Datapacks and it mimics the crafting of Minecraft with custom NVT data and much more. So let's take a look in game. We have our custom crafting table here and we can just right click to place it, and we have a crafting interface here. And this custom crafting table brings some features with it. Maybe you have also seen the first version of it. It was nearly a year ago that I first implemented this crafting table here. And now there is a big update. We have full integration into the objD framework that I wrote for Minecraft, and many performance and 1.14 related updates. So it uses less commands now and is even more effective, and you can customize it much more now. But let's take a look at the features. This here is actually a chest, and there are a few placeholder items where there are no slots. So one new feature is that you can place any item into these placeholders and it will right drop into your inventory again. So you can't place items here or lose any items in these slots. This is also active for the results slot here, so you can't put anything in there. But you can put something into these slots here, and I implemented a few new crafting recipes that also use NVT data. So we can place a stone here and a coal underneath, and you can see we get this super furnace. Also be aware that these are 5 super furnaces. You can actually set the ratios here, so if I put 2 of these items here, we get 10 super furnaces. So that's a brand new feature. And when I take out these items here, this is obviously consumed here. What's also possible is to lock the amount of the result item. So for our crafting table here, we just get 1 crafting table out of 4 here. And when we take out this crafting table, the count here is reduced. So just like normal Minecraft crafting, we can take single items out of here, and my API calculates the inputs here. And shapeless crafting is also supported, so you can combine a oak plank and a diamond in any shape in this crafting grid here. And there's always this diamond sword with the special NVT tag of special sword. And again here you can craft multiple of these, and it will always calculate how many it uses. And even when I take just half of this here, it will just use the amount here. Let's jump right into how you can use this API for your own projects. There are a couple of variants. As said before, the whole crafting API is an extension to my objD framework. That means you can use the framework to generate a Datapack and set all the important options here. But I imagine not all of you want to use my framework for that, so I created 2 template Datapacks for this that are generated by objD, and you can modify these to fit your own needs. You can download both of these packs on dmanager. For the second pack you also need the Resourcepack to display all the models right. Nonetheless, the first pack is a very simple pack with the minimum requirements for that. Once you installed this Datapack, you can run the function craft set down here, and this sets this chest at your current position. Of course, you can also control that with another Datapack to set this crafting table. And this is basically a chest with a small crafting table on top. Once you open it, you can see the crafting interface here. So all these slots that are not used are filled here. And there's also a very simple recipe. You can just craft a crafting table on the left here. This would be the simplest way to integrate my crafting API in Minecraft without any textures or any modifications to the game. To set your recipes, you can take a look at the recipes folder here. You don't have to care about all the other stuff. And here you have two functions. One is the craft.mc function. And here you basically specify all the ingredients of your recipe and just test if a block is there with all the items that you want with the specific slots. If your recipe template matches, you set this craft ID to a specific ID. This ID has to be different for each recipe, so my API can recognize all the different crafting recipes. And then there's also a different function here. This is basically called later if all the calculations are done. And here you just test if the craft ID matches your recipe ID, and then just replace the 15th slot, that is this empty slot here, with your wanted output. And again, you can also set NBT data here, whatever you want. For everyone that worked with the previous version might find this very similar, because this is actually backwards compatible. That means you can set these both functions here to the recipes you had in version 1, and this would still work. But you may want to change this ID here, because it changed from TP craft ID to craft ID now. And for version 1, there was a online generator as well. I also updated that one, and it also works with the new version and the templates that I give you via the manager. You can just select your wanted slot here, enter the item ID down here, and optionally also some custom NBT. Remember that this NBT here has to be a valid JSON format. And then you can also set the result here with the ID and also custom NBT, and just click the generate all button. And here you get the commands for the first function I showed you, and also for the result function. You can also add multiple recipes here and cycle around here. This generator is also linked in the description below, and you can also access it via stevetus.com/tools/crafting. Now I installed the second version of this Datapack. Just reload it. And also keep in mind that this needs the Resourcepack. All packs are provided in the description below. Now we can run our function set again, and you can see the chest is gone and we have this nice custom block here. And you can also click at it, and you see there is also the custom GUI included here. This is actually a retextured item that is on the left here. You can see if we try to drag it, this is this huge item. And here you also have the basic crafting recipe with the crafting table. The core of these both packs is the same, so you get exactly the same mechanics. But of course this pack looks a bit nicer, and you can also customize it to have a different texture, a different GUI, whatever you need. And there's also a breaking mechanic. So if you place it, the item drops actually. So you can see this is our custom crafting table, and you can also right click to set it again and place this crafting table like a normal crafting table in your world. And this is done with a spawn egg that summons an armor stand, and this armor stand just runs our function here. We are in the Resourcepack currently, and you can just modify the assets, Minecraft, textures, crafting. Here you can see all the textures for this, and also the crafting GUI, so you can just retexture these and change the visuals of the crafting table. And again, also for this data pack, you have the recipes folder here, and you can modify the recipes like you are used to with the other data pack. The core of the data pack, that is actually this crafting.mc function, this stays the same no matter what you change. I will also link this command here in the description to get the custom item. Now we covered the templates, but you may also want to customize the API yourself. And you can do that with my framework. If you don't know, I've coded a framework for Datapack development and also Datapack generation. And this framework helps you with large scale Datapack projects like this crafting table, for example. If you like to know more, just check out this playlist. There are multiple videos about objD. So here I've created a small project, and the first thing we want to do is add actually objD. Keep in mind that you need at least the version 0.2.2 here, which has some unique features that the crafting API needs. And we also want to add the objD underscore crafting. This is at the version 0.1.0 at the moment. Of course, this can update in future updates. And you may also want to run the command pubget. Visual Studio Code does this automatically for us. And here in our index.dart file, we just import the core, and we also import the objD crafting library. And then we create a simple project with our project. This is named Testpack. You can also see that on the side here. This should generate one folder above. And here in our generate method, we can now use our crafting table. This crafting table is actually a separate widget where you have multiple options here. You can see that. And now we'll go through every option and see what does it change. What you also note is that you don't need a pack for this. Usually for objD, you define a project and multiple packs in it, so your namespaces. And you don't need that here because the crafting table generates it itself. And you can actually change your namespace by using name column and then your desired namespace. I'll just use tutcraft for tutorial crafting, and we can actually compile that with F5. And if you take a look at the side here, you can see the tutcraft pack has been compiled and many functions already generated, although we didn't define anything here. And we can also take a look at the Datapack. We can see the tutcraft namespace has been initialized. Also all the load and tick JSONs are configured. And if you take a look at the crafting.mc function, we can see all the scoreboards and all the tags have your custom namespace. So in that way, you can just define this namespace once and it changes your entire project. So this should not interfere with any other data pack. And of course, because we didn't add anything to the crafting table yet, this is really the bare minimum without any recipes, without any crafting. We can take a look at this in Minecraft. Tutcraft set. And you can see there is this invisible chest here. And this is basically an empty chest just with a custom name. And if you go into spectator mode, you also see there is a small armor stand in there that basically controls all the business logic for this. You can't, however, break this thing and everything is deleted, but you can't really make anything out of it. You can also set the display name here, and this is basically a text component. If you don't know how to work with text components, you can watch this objD video. And here you can set the name that is displayed in the GUI, tutorial crafter, and we have other visuals as well. You can set the invisible hitbox. This is a boolean and by default this is true. So if you set this to false, a normal chest would appear that is not invisible. We can take a look at that. And we also want to serve our project here so that our project is automatically generated. And we can reload again and set our crafting table here. And we can see this is a normal chest that opens, and we can also see the title here. You might also want to create another block besides a chest here. You can also use the recent added barrel block. Just set the use barrel to true. And this will actually change all the block data inside any of these functions here to a barrel, so that the entire data pack uses the barrel. And here we have it, it's a barrel, but it is not that convenient because it has this annoying opening sound. That's it with the visuals. Let's get into the recipes. So the recipes itself is a list of a recipe. The recipe is a separate object, and you can see this takes some ingredients and also the result here. If you're familiar to JSON, this is quite similar. You just set the slot in the crafting input, so from 1 to 9 let's set the fifth, and this ingredients takes in an item for a specific slot. That means we use the item here, and we can insert a block.stone here. Our ingredient is now a stone block that is placed in the center of our inventory. And then we have also the result as a second argument. This is also an item. And let's just use the block.furnace here. And this would be it. You just define the ingredients here and the result. And let's take a look at Minecraft. We have our tutorial crafter here. And now we can take a stone, place it in here, and we get a furnace back. And the whole thing is automatically done by the API. That means when you take out the stone, the furnace disappears. And when we take out the furnace, the stone is consumed. We can also take multiple stones here, and the API automatically calculates the result value. And even if you take just half of it out here, and of course this also works for multiple ingredients. So we can, for example, also add the slot 8 and add an item of the item type .coal. And now we craft this like this here with a stone and a coal. And here, of course, you can also use objD data. Otherwise, you would also be able to use this with normal crafting. But you can, for example, say name, which requires a text component as well. And let's say super furnace. And also set the italic to false. So in that way, it seems like a normal item. And we can see our super furnace here with some objD data down there. A specialty of this new version is also the count. You can set the count to 5, for example, and this will basically multiply the original count. Now we have 5 furnaces, and we can add more, and this adds up here. So these properties just affect the recipes here and generate scoreboard and replace item commands. Depending on what you insert there, you don't have to do anything. Let's also take a look at the recipe.shapeless. This is also possible that you just give this a list of ingredients and a result, and then it doesn't matter where you place the items. So let's do an item here with the block.oak planks, and together with this here an item type .diamond. And this should result into a diamond sword, which also has some custom lore, special sword, and this should generate our special sword now. And we can see if we put a diamond and oak planks together anywhere, our diamond sword with the special sword tag is added. Let's uncover some more options here. These are mainly visual. So you can, for example, add a placeholder. This is as well an item. So let's add a block.stained glass pane, choose the blue one. And in the game we can now see all the slots that are not used are now blocked by these placeholders, and you're not able to extract those. And also if you put something into these placeholders, the item drops and you get it back into your inventory. And of course this can also be used with retextured items. So I have a stone hoe here with the model of 319.01, I believe, and also give it a name of text component with nothing in it. Now we can see the slots are blocked with an empty item. If we hide the tooltip here, we can't really tell that's an item, despite the fact that the attack damage is shown here. And this also blocks these slots here. To hide the attack damage, we just use hide flags 63, so everything that's possible. Oh, and here you can see the full item again. Then you can also set the GUI model. This is one item of these placeholders that is retextured to show a giant GUI like you saw earlier. And this is also a stone hole, so let's copy that in here, and it actually has the model too, and everything else obviously stays the same. So first of all, we see that these items are completely empty now, and this GUI is a bit misaligned. I textured it actually to be in the upper left here, but objD places this in the center here. But of course you can set where the item should go. You can do that with the slot in the item, and we just use the convenient slot.chest and insert the row in here 1 and the slot in the row, that's 1, 1. And this looks a bit better. This exactly fits over the slots. Again, this is from my template pack, so you can download it in the description and make something yourself. And then you can also set a block model. This is basically an item that is on the head of the armor stand. So you use the item again. And this was a sheep spawn egg with the model of 01. And also keep in mind that you have to specify the count 1 here to set the item on the head of the armor stand. And in Minecraft we can see if we set the block again, we have this beautiful model here. And of course you can also set any block, and this will be a bit smaller on top of the chest like I shown you in the first template. But this specific model is modeled so that this exactly matches the block. Let's get back in the recipes, because there are a few more things I want to show you. So we have also the recipe from JSON, and this basically accepts JSON data like you also would find it in a normal Minecraft recipe. And this constructor here converts this JSON data into my recipe format that you can see in these functions here. You just say pattern and insert a list here of a few strings. And here you can specify items that you want to know. We can set our pattern here, and then you can set the key here and insert an item object here. With the item, you just set the item ID. This would be Minecraft column oak planks. And here you could also add a new property that I introduced called NBT and add additional JSON here for the NBT data. And after you specified all your keys that you used up here in the pattern, you set the result. And this is also an item object. So you use the item again, Minecraft crafting table. And this would be it for the JSON part of it. Just as a side note, you can also introduce the count here. And this is basically the count that is required to craft one crafting table. So let's set this to 2. So now we need 8 oak planks to craft one crafting table. And in our recipe constructor here, we can also see the exact result. And here we can basically set the count of the result. So we can use any number here, and this will always set the crafting table to 1. Optionally, you can also set the ID of the crafting here, but usually this is automatically increased for each crafting recipe. If you like to have a custom ID that is unique for your Datapack, you can also set that in the crafting table constructor here. So my ID would be 31900, and then the first recipe starts with this ID and increments through all recipes. Let's reload that again. And now we can see this recipe only triggers if we have 2 of each, and it also doesn't update, it stays at 1 here. If you also want to generate your recipes yourself, enable give command function here with true. And now there is a file here. And this will basically evaluate what you put into your crafter here. If we run this function now, you can see it gives us this command here. And we can just copy this command here out of the Minecraft logs, insert it into your recipes function here. And over here you obviously have to set your own ID. So let's set this to 3. And this is basically an useful utility if you don't know how to generate these commands yourself. You can also set the recipe source. This would be another function anywhere where you store your recipes that are not generated by objD. You can set my res, for example, and all functions would update to also include your custom recipe source here. You have also the recipe result source, so that is also possible to change the result here. And then you have also the option to provide a widget that is run if your crafting table is destroyed. Let's say we want to drop an item, so we just summon entity type.item with the location of location.relative and set the y coordinate to 0.7, and then we give it some NBT here. I actually prepared that. So we set the item here, and this will be a sheep spawn egg with the name of custom crafting table. This has a count of 1, and also our custom model here. So in my case, I retextured a specific model of the sheep spawn egg. Again, you can download the Resourcepack and modify this yourself. And then we give the sheep spawn egg some NBT data as well, namely the entity tag, and there we create a new summon widget and get the map from this summon widget to get the raw entity data. And in the end, we also get the NBT data of our item here. If you don't understand that much of this here, this is pretty advanced. You can always take a look at my objD playlist to get more information on objD itself. If we save this now and take a look at Minecraft now, we can destroy this and we get our custom crafting table item back here. And this is basically a sheep spawn egg. That means we can also place this here, and we configured it so that it does not spawn a sheep, but an invisible armor stand. And now we can basically detect the position of this invisible armor stand and spawn our custom crafting table there. You may ask how we do that, and this is pretty simple. You have in this crafting table also a main option here, which accepts a list of widgets, and these main widgets are basically executed every tick. So we can check for this armor stand. This has the tag craft placer. So let's use the execute command here as add an entity with the tags of craft placer. And this as well has some children. So insert a list here. And then we want to execute the file set. Remember that's the set function down here. And we don't want to create this file again, so we set create to false. And obviously we also have to kill our armor stand. That is just temporary. So we say kill entity.selected. So this is pretty easy. We just execute from the position of our craft placer, run our set function and kill the armor stand. So now if we use our sheep spawn egg and spawn an armor stand, this armor stand is instantly converted into our custom block here, which has a chest underneath that we can use to craft a crafting table, for example. So these were all the options for this crafting table. You can check out everything in detail also in the written version and the documentation of this API in the GitHub repository. You also find 2 examples in the example folder. One is this basic crafting table that implements the first template I gave you, the pure vanilla one. And then you also have the complex crafting table with all the models and every option that we've gone through the last couple of minutes. So you can also experiment with that code over there. I hope you find a usage for this API, as it was a lot of work for me. So I would be pleased if you would write suggestions or feedback in the comments. Thank you very much for watching. We'll see us in the next video.